Dr. Darryl Low, Civil and Environmental Engineering. Been at LeTourneau since 2012. Pretty cool God story of how I got to campus. It goes back to actually when I was in grad school. When I was in grad school, I thought I wanted to do research. I really wanted to be a researcher, just live in the lab, and do that the whole time. And started doing research and discovered that it didn't really meet my personality. It wasn't quite for me, but one of the things with doing research at a big state school is that they give you oftentimes a class to teach because you're the TA, and so big state schools, it's not often the professor, but the TA will teach the class. And so they gave me this TA job to go teach this class, and discovered this thing that I absolutely loved and had no idea that I was going to be doing the rest of my life. And so took this shift in grad school from a research focus to a teaching focused, and have just been really, really blessed by it and never looked back since. So about the time I was about to graduate, my wife, who is in medicine, got assigned to a hospital in East Texas. And suddenly we were moving to East Texas, had no idea this was going to happen. So I started looking around at engineering programs in East Texas, and there aren't a whole lot. And so I was looking around, and one of the ones I kind of honestly wasn't real familiar with until my father-in-law told me about it was LeTourneau. And so I came here looking to see if they had anything available. I have this really cool memory of myself and my wife and my 6-week-old child coming on campus and saying, "Hey, I teach civil engineering. Can I teach civil engineering here?" And they said, "We don't have anything for you." And I remember being this really, prayer with my wife saying, if this is where we should be, I want to be clear. And if this is not where we're supposed to be, I want to be clear. And so I took that as a big fat no, that I'm not going to be at LeTourneau. And so I'm like, okay. I started looking around for other places to teach, and I knew I really, really wanted to teach. And I found some place where I could teach, and teaching not engineering for a couple of years. But then I get a phone call about 2 years later after that point, and they said, "Hey, Darryl, do you still want to teach engineering at LeTourneau?" And what I didn't realize at the time was when I came on campus looking for a civil engineering position, that was actually the first year LeTourneau ever had civil engineering program on campus. And so the only civil engineers they had were freshmen. And literally the courses that I would teach just weren't being offered. And so when they said they didn't have a need for me, they didn't have a need for me. And 2 years later, those freshmen became juniors, and they needed someone to teach some senior level courses for them. I remember coming, because the place I was at before, I was in a good place, and I thought that was where God wanted me for the rest of my life. And so when I interviewed here for the position, it wasn't just me saying I wanted the job, it was talking to a lot of people and saying, what is LeTourneau? Do I actually want to leave where I am to come here? Is it a good thing for me? And so I kept asking the students, asking faculty, what's this place like? What is it makes this place different? Why should I want to work here? And was just really impressed how consistently they talked about how faculty care for students, from the students. It wasn't just a line. They talked about how teaching was a priority, and it wasn't just something we do when we're not trying to get research funds. It was, this is why we're here, to do undergraduate research, to make a difference in students' lives, to make Christian engineers of the highest quality. And so after a lot of prayer, did end up taking the job, obviously, and so have just been incredibly blessed and never regretted it for a second that I took the job, because everything they promised, that teaching is the focus, that we're able to interact with students on a personal level, has been authentic, has been true, and I've just really, really, really enjoyed it ever since. I have the bizarre ability to say that I've actually taught every LeTourneau civil engineering students that's graduated from LeTourneau, except two. Two snuck by me my very first year, but every other student who's graduated here with a civil engineering degree, I've had in class. And so I can say I taught them, and I can say I watched them walk across the stage, and they've gone off and they've gotten their engineering licenses and just doing amazing things out in the engineering field all across the world. But it's kind of been a privilege over the years to get to teach them, and then hear them come back and talk about what they've done, what God's done in their lives, what they've done in their careers, and how they've been blessed by their time at LeTourneau. So it's just been an incredibly rewarding place to be the last few years. It's really neat because, again, being here since almost day one, Really, it was year 4, but I got to teach the first group of students, seeing how we progressed. And saying they say right at the start, this is hands-on engineering. And with my undergraduate at a big state school, we didn't have hands-on engineering. The classes were too big. And so being able to do that, get in the lab and do things, and not just stay in a textbook, but move to the real world. And that's where engineering actually happens, is the real world. Get out of the textbook and go to a real place and see it in action. And then the best thing is when you can build it, because there are so many light bulb aha moments when you actually get to build what you're designing. And not just have it in on paper, but actually to see it in construction. I think that's one of the most rewarding things about engineering, is to have this thought in your mind, put it down on paper, and have that design being constructed and be functional. And what's the really unique things about civil is everything we do is not flash in the pan. It's lasting for decades. It's stuff that you build as a brand new engineer. You can show your grandkids that I helped build that. I was able to contribute because of this. It's the impact. It's not always obvious. You don't usually know who designed the building or treated the water, but it's a societal impact that is undeniable. And so I think we have a real benefit, a real just privilege to serve as engineers. So been very, very fortunate over the years to get to teach those students and see what they've done as engineers after they left this place. One of my favorite parts about this job is getting in the lab still. Thankfully, I don't have to do all the big research, but just getting in the lab, working with my hands, working with the student, and showing them how this actually works has been a joy. It's something that's one of the best part of my days, is not just solving problems on the board, but let's see it in action. Let's actually get it and do it, and actually get those aha moments that all of this makes sense, that it's both encouraging and discouraging. And when I talk to graduates and they say, oh yeah, I remember all these things from these labs. And it's like, do you remember anything I said in class? Well, yeah, maybe a little bit of that. But really what was impactful was connecting the two. And so I've had just incredible relationships with some students over the years that have gone on to do really good things, and incredibly proud of what they've been able to accomplish. And then the other thing is going on with being brand new civil is our brand new environmental engineering program that we just started last year. That's something that's been a labor of love over the last few years. And that's truly my background, is environmental. Environmental engineering is an offshoot of civil engineering that focuses on the relationship between people and the environment. How can we take care of the environment well, and how can we use the resources in the environment to help people thrive? And so I think it's a huge service opportunity, and it's just a great field to be in a lot of ways. The value of clean water is never more important than it is right now, and so I think that it's a great place for people who want to work engineering in the U.S., who want to go international and do missions, whatever that looks like. There's always going to be a huge demand for water treatment. And so we do projects and classes where it's not just designing this on paper, it's we actually build water treatment systems. And we take water from a river and we try to make it, and usually it's a very successful accomplishment of taking that and making it where it's potable. And it's indistinguishable from tap water. And it's stuff that the students built on a pallet, and it could be easily transported anywhere in the world. But they can take that knowledge and use that anywhere they go. And we talk a lot about environmental is a lot water treatment, it's air pollution. But one of the weirdest things, and I very much acknowledge that I'm weird about this, is also it's wastewater treatment. Wastewater, it's basically a fancy word for sewage. I love wastewater treatment. As weird as that is, I really, really enjoy that topic for a couple of reasons. One, it's just this incredible story of redemption. It's basically you take in sewage, which is dirty, gross, nobody wants it, and as an engineer, we have the opportunity to take that and turn it into something that's clean, pure, desirable, beneficial, and put it back in the environment. Rather than having a negative impact, we can take that water, and it's typically that treated wastewater it's cleaner than the water they put it into, that creek. And so rather than polluting, we are enhancing and making the environment better just by simple treatment. And I love the idea that you take something that's dirty, undesirable, and that's redemption, that's salvation, that's taking something that the wastewater didn't do anything to cause that cleaning. It was done by an outside force, and so that you can make it be better as a result. I think it's just a powerful message there. And the other thing is just there's limitless creativity. What you have going in is getting gross and nasty, and nobody really cares how you do it. Just make it clean. There's tons of flexibility. You can switch the processes around. There's always new advancements, new technologies coming in wastewater treatment, because it's going to be a bigger challenge. We understand how our impacts on the environment better and better, so wanting to make that effluent water cleaner and cleaner is important. So we're just constantly working. We're constantly trying to be better engineers, better stewards of what God has given us to care for. So my time here at LeTourneau has been just a blessing to me. I'm grateful for it, and I just try to just serve my students well, because they can make such an impact, and they are making an impact, that this is a incredibly, just, I feel blessed to work here. So hopefully be here for a long time.